The sun disappears, and darkness takes over the day. The wind whips strongly over the frozen steppe. The waters become an icy desert, and the world goes into a winter lethargy. Everything is ready for one of the most shocking chapters of the wildlife. Penguins congregate on the beaches, elephant seals emerge from the waters, and the leopard seals rise up on the ice. Blue whales ply the depths. Birds full of color contrast in a pale sky, and the dolphins do their acrobatics in the water. This is the Antarctic wilderness, and the secrets of the White Continent. In this place, near the ends of the earth, temperatures govern life. And the climate is the fiercest adversary, as well as the regent of changes in the ecosystem. In the middle of one of the most inhospitable places on the planet, as if it were a challenge to the status quo, the wildlife, reluctant and irreverent, is shown at its best. The penguins, in an endless journey, march thousands of kilometers over the ice in an odyssey of days through the cruelest storms. The seals, skilled survivors, take refuge in the depths, far from the relentless surface, but within reach of voracious predators. And the sperm whales, ghosts of the ocean, navigate in the abysmal darkness, with no other company than solitude. On such a vast continent, home to the most majestic wild creatures, each species fights its own battle for survival. Here, from the tiny krill to the giant blue whale, they face challenges that test their resilience and longing for life. In the far South Pole, where a gigantic ice barrier emerges as the last frontier, the elephant seals, imposing mammals, fight for dominance of the beaches in a battle to the death. Crab-eater seals, in a fight against starvation, plunge into the icy waters in a sub-zero hunt. Meanwhile, millions of migratory birds, faced with such harsh living conditions, decide to set out on a journey of thousands of kilometers to new destinations. In this millenary conflict against temperatures, each species, after millions of years of evolution, has adapted to this inhospitable habitat, where winter, more than a season, has become the lord and master of an entire continent. But the drop in the thermometer is not the only enemy Antarctic wildlife must face. As they fight a battle for survival, the fiercest predators impose their will by asserting their place in the food chain. In the cold waters, the killer whales, bloodthirsty hunters, stand as the supreme predators, stalking their prey and devouring everything in their path. With countless herds plying the Antarctic coasts, and the boundaries between ice and land blurred, no one is safe from the appetite of these voracious predators. The merciless killer whales are joined by colossal elephant seals. These giants will not hesitate to be the terror of seals and penguins to ensure their survival in this vast ecosystem. Located in the south of the planet, Antarctica corresponds to a region of more than 14 million square kilometers, making it the fourth largest continent in the world. Although in another reality, such a vast territory isolated from the rest of the planet could be a paradise for wildlife. With 98% of its extension covered by a thick layer of ice of more than 1 kilometer, Antarctica is an icy desert, which represents the harshest challenges for any hope of life. With winter temperatures as low as minus 90 degrees Celsius, Mother Nature knows no mercy. Winter takes over the South Pole, and even the sun abandons the continent to its fate, plunging it into darkness for months. Although this colossal frozen kingdom remains covered with ice throughout the year, during the summer, temperatures in the warmer places reach a remotely pleasant 0 degrees, and a radiant sun illuminates the horizon, giving white nights. With the arrival of the warm season, if it can be called that, the Antarctic wild species awaken from their lethargy and are ready to write their stories on the white canvas that represents this frozen world. On the Antarctic coast, where miles of ice floes loom on the horizon, the leopard seal is one of those wild species that is grateful for the arrival of summer in this icy corner of the world, and is ready to celebrate with a hearty catch. With a bulky body of up to 600 kilograms and a length of more than 3 meters, the leopard seal is one of the giants that have chosen the inhospitable Antarctic as their cozy home. The mottled fur and shades of gray and black of this mammal makes it easy to infer why it is associated with the wild feline thousands of kilometers to the north. However, a colossal bite and undeniable predatory instincts are some of the qualities that these Antarctic residents also share with African felines. The leopard seal plows the semi-frozen waters off the coast in search of nutritious prey to satiate its big appetite. This mammal is a superb hunter, with countless strategies to ensure that food is never lacking on the table. The leopard seal, as it is also known, has a very broad diet, ranging from small krill to fish, penguins, cephalopods, and even other seal species. Simply put, nothing is off the menu for this voracious hunter, much less living in a place where prey is often scarce. When hunting, she usually stalks her prey almost entirely submerged from the edge of an ice floe, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. When a carefree penguin takes to the water, the leopard seal sees its moment and launches its lunge. With its ferocious bite, the seal goes straight for the bird's feet, grabbing it with its teeth. The fierce hunter will finish the job at the surface, where by slamming the penguin's body against the solid ice, it will pass away and become a hearty meal for this feline of the icy waters. Despite having teeth up to 2.5 centimeters long, these do not allow it to cut its prey into pieces, so it must shake it vigorously from side to side until it tears, swallowing the whole pieces of the innocent bird. Another favorite prey of the wild leopard seal, and abundant in these slightly above freezing waters, are krill. To devour these small crustaceans, the seals dive into the dark waters in search of large schools. Upon finding them, the mammal will open its large mouth, catching several of these nutritious shrimps, and then, with the help of its molars, will pull the water out of its mouth, filtering its food. Although this skilled hunter moves like a fish in water, swimming up to 38 kilometers per hour, and being able to dive for periods of up to 30 minutes, more than 200 meters from the surface, it is best to remain alert during these long expeditions. Wildlife in Antarctica takes many turns, and in just a few seconds, a seal can go from devouring a helpless krill to becoming the prey of a giant killer whale. While leopard seals do not have many natural predators in the harsh Antarctic ecosystem, the presence of killer whales is more than enough to strike terror into the seals. So before diving, these aquatic mammals should always keep an escape route through the ice in mind, as well as keep an eye out for the dreaded fin of the voracious hunters on the horizon. After a successful hunt, the seal emerges from the cold waters through vents, holes made in the thick Antarctic ice. Although they are known to lead a solitary and elusive life, when mating season arrives, the males, leaving aside all their social isolation, will dive into the waters and break the deafening silence with their wide repertoire of vocalizations. Here, grunts, chirps, and roars will play a central role in securing a visit from a fertile female. Of course, just as females arrive with reproductive intentions, in some cases there are also unwanted visitors in the form of other males who also want to expand their lineage and are willing to fight for it. When an invader crosses the boundaries of a male's territory, the white snow that covers Antarctica is about to turn red. Before the battle begins, the contenders emit loud roars and growls to intimidate their opponent, as well as perform postures to appear larger and show their sharp teeth as a harbinger of what is to come. With a female in play, none of the males will give in, and the start of a duel to the death is inevitable. Here, the lunges of their large bodies, trying to knock down the opponent, are an effective blow, just as the claws and bites straight to the neck of the adversary can be the final blow that ends the battle. With such beasts in combat, these fights often last up to several hours, after which, after dozens of blows and both males with serious injuries, one decides to throw in the towel and give up his intention to reproduce. The winner will enjoy all privileges, keeping the female, as well as protecting his territory from outsiders. After copulation, the female will begin a short gestation period of up to 11 months, during which she will have to deal with the ailments of pregnancy in one of the most hostile environments on the planet. Of course, after this time, it will all be worth it to see her little one, weighing more than 30 kilograms, taking its first steps. Although the song of the male leopard seal paid off, it, try as it might, could never surpass the deafening melody in the depths of the glorious humpback whale. After a long journey of more than 25,000 kilometers, this giant, up to 16 meters long and 36 tons, makes its glorious arrival in the icy waters of Antarctica. With the arrival of summer, this colossal cetacean looks to the semi-frozen shores of this white continent as the perfect place to break a long fast. During its long migration to tropical waters in the polar winter, the humpback whale spent months without ingesting any food, trying to concentrate all its energy for the long journey. Of course, after this long round trip to the tropics, this giant is now back in the food-rich waters of Antarctica. Soon after her arrival, the humpback whale wastes no time and joins other congeners who have come with the same intentions. The abundance of fish and krill on the Antarctic coasts attracts thousands of hungry cetaceans to enjoy an endless feast. Lacking the echolocation power of other marine species, humpback whales rely on their acute sense of hearing and knowledge of their surroundings to reach these giant schools of krill and small fish. Although they are not aggressive large mammal hunting machines, like the dreaded killer whale, humpback whales are strategists when it comes to bringing large schools of fish into their jaws. One of the favorite and patented strategies of this mammal is known as bubble netting. In this, the whale descends to the dark depths and slowly begins to emerge in ascending circles, releasing air bubbles through its blowhole. These thousands of bubbles build a network around the shoals, which, confused and cornered, gather in a smaller and smaller area. With as much prey as possible concentrated, the humpback whale opens its giant mouth and engulfs hundreds of thousands of fish in a single bite. Similar to what the leopard seal does, but on a much larger scale. This cetacean, using its enormous baleen, filters the food, removing all the water from its mouth and devouring its substantial meal. Although with this strategy the schools of fish are in trouble in the face of such a skilled and intelligent hunter, sometimes groups of dozens of whales work together to create giant bubble nets, capable of wiping out even the largest schools of fish in just minutes. With a single whale able to devour up to 2 tons of food a day, krill, fish, squid, and crustaceans are better off hiding. In addition to being able to plan an infallible ambush to capture millions of small prey, humpback whales are faithful believers that good communication is the key to success. To this end, under the dark Antarctic waters, these cetaceans emit their long, resonant songs for up to 20 minutes at a time. These melodies, echoing in the silent Antarctic Ocean, can be heard up to 20 kilometers away, and while in tropical habitats, they are used as a mating call. On the icy coasts of Antarctica, they are a communication mechanism among the species. After plowing the depths up to 200 meters, devouring large schools of fish, humpback whales take a short break to catch their breath at the surface. Upon surfacing, the colossal whale expels through its blowhole all the humid air contained in its lungs, creating a cloud of up to 3 meters. After this, the cetacean inhales large quantities of air to return to its dark and calm Arctic seafloor. Another occasion when these majestic mammals visit the surface is when they decide to perform a fantastic show of acrobatics. The humpbacks ascend at full speed and let their large bodies come out of the water, spinning in the air to fall backwards and dive again. Although the reason for this behavior has not been fully elucidated, it is believed that it may be a form of communication with other whales. After spending months enjoying the abundance of food provided by the Antarctic waters, with the arrival of the low temperatures of the austral winter, humpback whales will turn around again and embark on a long migration of thousands of kilometers to the north, where the much warmer tropical coasts will be the perfect place for females to give birth to their young. While the males, eager to extend their lineage, will congregate to fight for this right. Of course, the months in which Antarctica welcomed them will be crucial for this colossal migration in which the whales will survive only on their blubber reserves. Just as the infinite abundance of marine life in Antarctic waters is the sustenance of humpback whales, king penguins are another of those species that benefit from Mother Nature's summertime profligacy in this southern land. Growing up to 1 meter tall and weighing about 18 kilograms, the king penguin is the second largest of these flightless birds. With a distinguished and striking appearance, with shades of orange and yellow on its neck and head, this small royal bird is one of those species that adds a touch of color to the white Antarctic ecosystem. Although most of the penguin colonies are located north of the continent, on the Antarctic Peninsula, where the climate is usually more merciful, and in summer there are ice-free beaches, the truth is that these birds are perfectly adapted to life below zero in their icy ecosystem. With a thick layer of blubber and dense, scale-like plumage, king penguins manage to retain even the slightest vestige of heat in their bodies, to keep warm even in the days of harsh Antarctic winter. Another effective technique used by these striking birds is to huddle together in large groups to protect each other from the cold, sharing the warmth. Of course, in these agglomerations of penguins, they rotate their position from time to time, so that no bird is left without the privileged and warmer position in the center. The immense Antarctic colonies of these birds can reach thousands of specimens. With the coastal waters teeming with food, the penguins, prodigious swimmers, do not think twice, and dive into the icy ocean to join the maritime feast already begun by the humpback whales. The diet of these small flightless birds is based mainly on fish, squid, and of course, the very abundant krill. Submerged in the water, these birds look more like fish, displaying such amazing diving skills. King penguins can descend as far as 300 meters below the surface, propelling themselves with their feet and flippers to explore the seabed in search of prey. Even in these dark waters, where sunlight barely penetrates, this majestic underwater bird manages to see clearly, detecting small fish and catching them with its trained beak and functional fins. Being able to eat up to 2,000 fish a day, they had better be successful in their dives, so they can return to the beach with a full stomach. Despite having more than proven skills in the water, some penguins prefer to fish in crevices in the ice, where fish, in an attempt to breathe, are easy prey for these carnivores. With millions of fish swimming in the Antarctic waters, and temperatures as far as possible pleasant, the breeding season arrives at the colony. This is the time when the males, eager to reproduce, try to show off to the females with a showy courtship. The nuptial dance consists of stretching their necks and moving from side to side to attract the attention of the females. With serial monogamous behavior, the pairs that form will last for the remainder of the breeding season. However, within a year, most of them will start a new relationship. After copulation, the female will lay an egg of approximately 300 grams, which both birds, as responsible parents, will take care of hatching for about 55 days, with shifts of up to 2 weeks for each bird. When not building a nest, the penguin on duty will place the egg balanced on its feet and cover it with the brood pouch, a fold of skin protruding from its abdomen. As a general rule, the bird that is not guarding the egg will go on an excursion to the waters where it will feed, taking advantage of the abundance of fish that the Antarctic summer brings. The work of the bird that keeps the future chick goes beyond just hatching, because the sky is full of hunters in search of a succulent egg, rich in protein. Among the predators that will not hesitate to feed on the abandoned eggs are gulls, giant petrels, and skuas. After almost 2 months of meticulous care by both parents, a tiny chick hatches, and for the first time, looks with its eyes at a majestic ecosystem, where its mere existence is a miracle. A peculiarity of this penguin species is that the chicks are born with a woolly and very dense brown plumage that helps protect them from the bitter cold, and at the same time makes them look like a completely different species from their parents. Although with a warm natural coat, the little chick is not ready to go out and explore on its own, and will need parental care for a few more months. During this period, the parents will continue to take turns going fishing and staying with the chick. But this time they should remember to bring a small treat for their young, regurgitating some fish or a handful of crustaceans. As time goes by and the little king penguin gains strength, the parents will take it to one of the colony's many nurseries, where the chick will huddle with other chicks to share warmth and protect itself from predators. There, the young bird will wait patiently for its parents to bring back tasty souvenirs from their fishing trips. Probably on one of these dives in search of fresh fish, the flocks of king penguins witness the arrival of one of the most impressive travelers on the planet. The Arctic tern has flown thousands of miles to reach this majestic destination near the ends of the Earth. The Arctic tern is a small bird weighing no more than 150 grams and 40 centimeters long. Although far from the dimensions of the colossal humpback whale, this tiny bird makes a journey of almost twice the distance compared to that of the cetacean. It all starts some 40,000 kilometers north of the coast of Antarctica, where the starting point is the very place that gives the tern its name. When the sunny days are over in the Arctic, this small bird decides to perform one of the greatest feats in the wild, crossing the planet from pole to pole in a race in pursuit of summer. To reach its desired destination in the far south, the tern will make a few stops to devour small fish and crustaceans. With such a journey in its future, it is important to recharge its batteries along the way. After months of soaring the skies in pursuit of summer, the tern finally spots land in sight, and a white horizon with a radiant sky, just as he wanted, welcomes him. With a small red bill and a mostly gray plumage with a black nape, the tern is one of those birds that color the white ecosystem of Antarctica. Likewise, in the midst of a quiet habitat where the deepest silence dulls the cries of nature, the Arctic tern, with its innumerable vocalizations, announces the survival of wildlife, even at the end of the world. After a journey of unimaginable proportions, this small bird sets out to enjoy the abundance offered by its temporary habitat in the far south. With a diet based mainly on small fish such as young herring and cod, the waters off the Antarctic coast are a paradise at this time of year for the migrating tern. All those fish that make the big mistake of swimming through shallow waters while this bird is out fishing are easy prey, with the diminutive tern swooping in at full speed, catching them with its tiny claws. On occasion, this agile bird even goes so far as to dive completely into the icy waters, diving to catch its prey. Although the tern is a skilled hunter, and with the infinite schools of fish swimming in the Antarctic, it is more than assured of food. On those atypical hunting days when the food simply does not reach its beak, this small bird has no problem at all in engaging in a practice that is a little unfair, but which guarantees a good meal. When the tern sees a gull, or perhaps a skua enjoying a juicy catch, it becomes an efficient thief, taking food from the mouths of even larger birds. The plan is simple, but functional. The little tern pounces at full speed on its victim, who usually panics and drops the prey. With the small fish in no man's land, the tern doesn't delay in finishing the theft by taking the spoils in its beak. Most of the time, everything happens so fast that the victim doesn't even know what has just happened. But in such a wild ecosystem, you can't go around stealing food from others without risking the consequences. Just as the migrating tern is accustomed to stealing food from gulls and skuas, it is precisely these birds, in a kind of scrimmage, that are the main predators of the Arctic tern on this side of the world. Likewise, although it is not among its main prey, if a glorious leopard seal has the opportunity to hunt this small bird, it will not hesitate for a second, and will incorporate it into its diet, giving an unexpected end to the tern thousands of miles away from its home. When the white nights come to an end on the giant Antarctic continent, the Arctic tern, living up to its name, will look north again, beginning a journey of thousands of kilometers over endless waters. However, the summer on the other side of the world will not last forever, and the tern plans a return trip to the, for him, cozy Antarctica. For now, all that remains for him to do is to spread his little wings and disappear over the horizon on a long journey back home. While the little tern soars in flight in the heights saying goodbye to the white continent, in the dark depths of the ocean, where the rays of light are but a myth, and the infinite silence stuns in an abyss, the sperm whale appears cold and lonely. This colossal cetacean of up to 45 tons and 16 meters in length is one of those giants that harbor the deep and icy Antarctic waters. Diving up to 2,000 meters, the sperm whale sees in these dark abysses of the south of the planet a cozy home where it can swim placidly without disturbances. While the males are huge beasts, even holding the place of the largest toothed whales in the world, the females of the species are up to 3 times smaller. The sperm whale is easily distinguishable even on the Antarctic coasts, home to several species of cetaceans. With a distinctive block-shaped head that can represent up to a third of its body, and a prominent rounded forehead, this denizen of the deep is unmistakable. Of course, this disproportionate head houses a gigantic brain. In fact, the largest in the entire animal kingdom, almost reaching 8 kilograms. Unlike all other species of baleen whales, sperm whales have enormous teeth more than 30 centimeters long, each tooth weighing up to 1 kilogram. Although the colossal males usually roam solitary in the depths, the females and their young can gather in matriarchal herds of up to 20 individuals. However, they prefer the warmer waters of the tropics and do not usually visit this southern destination. Young males who, when they reach sexual maturity, leave the herd, usually form bachelor groups. With just one individual consuming up to 2 tons of food per day, these pods of toothed whales often spend up to 3/4 of their routine in search of food. To satiate such a voracious appetite, their diet consists mainly of giant squid, octopus, rays, small fish, and even swordfish on rare occasions. Since sunlight barely penetrates the shallow depths where they hunt, sperm whales use their highly advanced echolocation ability to locate their prey. By emitting a kind of clicking sound, they are able to identify their hunting target. While solitary males manage on their own to hunt their prey, pods often work as a team. Especially when it comes to mass fishing for large schools of fish, the cetaceans coordinate to group the large shoals into giant balls, and thus gobble them up more easily. On the other hand, when the prey is a giant squid, the cephalopod will not become part of the voracious sperm whale's diet without a fight. Here, a battle for survival rages thousands of meters below the surface. The squid trying to save its life, while the sperm whale in a fight against hunger. The cetacean uses its huge sharp teeth as a weapon to tear apart the squid's body, as well as its powerful sonar to stun and disorient its prey. With a power of 236 decibels, this sonic cannon is the loudest noise produced by any animal species on the planet. Of course, fishing dives and fierce fights against gigantic squid make the sperm whale's dives not particularly short. Fortunately, thanks to its amazing adaptations to the depths, it can go for periods of more than an hour without surfacing. After feeding, this mammal usually goes to shallower waters, at a depth of approximately 900 meters, where encounters with other cetaceans are more frequent. Although the mature males of the species prefer a solitary life, far from their conspecifics, they can sometimes swim alongside the giant humpback whales. The colossal size of the sperm whale puts it out of reach of virtually all predators. Not even the voracious killer whale is capable of inflicting its terror against these immense cetaceans. Although violent confrontations do occur in the depths, both species prefer to stay away and avoid this clash of titans in the depths. Since female sperm whales prefer to stay much farther north in tropical waters, some males, eager to extend their lineage, undertake this journey of thousands of kilometers across entire oceans. When they arrive at their destination, fertile females will be waiting for them in these warm waters with the intention of reproducing. Of course, in order to have the right to them, they will have to prove their worth in savage battles against other suitors. For the time being, this enormous cetacean begins his journey, leaving behind him the icy waters that have sheltered him for years. Of course, the giant sperm whale leaves in the hope of one day returning to his home in the dark depths of the Antarctic Ocean. With the cetacean's northward migration, no wild creature, whether in or out of the waters, is safe from the voracious appetite of the world's fiercest predator. When killer whales go hunting, there is no safe place, even in the vastness of Antarctica. Killer whales, also called killer whales, although in fact they are not whales, but rather dolphins, are immense beasts, weighing up to 5 tons and 9 meters long. Although they could even be considered tiny in comparison to the colossal cetaceans, such as the humpback whale or the great sperm whale, in terms of ferocity, this aggressive swimmer is the master of the Antarctic coasts, with a powerful bite of enormous strength crowned with teeth up to 10 centimeters long. This dolphin terrorizes all marine species in this icy ecosystem. Despite being hostile to everything that crosses their path, killer whales are animals with very advanced social skills, living in large pods of up to 12 individuals. These groups, also called pods, have their own dialect, communicating through vocalizations such as clicks, whistles, and pulses, whether for socializing or hunting. Likewise, these dolphins also employ a vast body language with chest beats, tail flicks, and leaps. With such advanced communication skills, it is easy to intuit the incredible coordination these hunters display when pursuing their prey. With the exception of the gigantic sperm whale, there is virtually no species in the deep that can escape these ruthless and synchronized predators. Killer whales have a myriad of hunting strategies, adapting specifically to the prey in question, as well as to the conditions. This increases their success rate and makes escaping from a pod basically a miracle. With an insatiable appetite, devouring up to 150 kilograms of meat per day, the killer whale's infinite menu includes fish, squid, penguins, seals, seabirds, and even whales. When it comes to laying siege to the large schools that collapse the Antarctic coasts, killer whales work in a coordinated fashion to ensure that they are successful in their catch. Typically, the dolphins will separate a large group from the main school, using their large bodies and tail blows to herd them. With these lunges, most of the unfortunate fish are stunned, and the giant hunters take the opportunity to give them a quick death by gobbling them up in one bite. Of course, at all times during the hunt, the killer whales are in constant communication, which further limits the chances of escape for the thousands of fish that will end up in the jaws of the pod. Although the underwater coordination and skill of these giant dolphins in decimating endless schools of fish is very impressive, one of the greatest demonstrations of ingenuity and ferocity is on the surface, in those places along the coast where miles of icebergs cover the horizon. There, where seals rest peacefully after countless dives to the depths, killer whales display one of their preferred hunting strategies. Of course, before even initiating the attack, the dolphins employ their echolocation powers to locate their prey. Without this step, with thousands of ice floes floating on the surface, a blind attack would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. With the seal on the radar of the hungry killer whales, the killer whales coordinate in a formation to initiate their hunting strategy. Rushing with their huge bodies in a circular motion, the skilled hunters create an artificial wave straight towards what was until then a safe resting place for the seal. With each thrust, the now slippery and unstable ice floe wobbles. Again and again, these clever killers will repeat their onslaught, further destabilizing the seal's shelter, until the inevitable happens. The stunned prey of more than 400 kilograms falls into the water, where despite being a prodigious swimmer, it doesn't stand a chance against these ferocious beasts of more than 5 tons. With the help of their fearsome bites, the killer whales deliver the coup de grace to the defenseless seal and share the spoils. After instilling their terror even in out-of-water victims, killer whales are ready to hunt down one of the largest prey in the wild. Although the humpback whale is up to 3 times the size of the voracious killer whale, the mammal's hunting pods pose a lethal threat to even the largest humpback whales. With a cetacean of such impressive dimensions coming to represent an almost infinite food source for the pod, the killer whales, in a display of ambition and ferocity, set in motion their strategy to hunt down a giant whale. When confronted with such a colossal adversary, the dolphins surround the cetacean from several flanks and decide to attack the prey's weak points, such as fins and tail. Of course, one of the keys to success in this ambitious gamble is persistence. Killer whales can harass the mammal for hours, biting it with their sharp teeth, giving it no respite to rest. In this siege, the killer whales even position themselves on top of the whale to prevent it from reaching the surface and breathing. If this strategy pays off, the giant cetacean, after hours of siege and incessant attacks on its entire body, has no escape and ends up perishing by drowning. With this colossal prey, the entire pod will be able to eat their fill, even for several days. After this hunt, the killer whales prove that not even the icy waters at the ends of the earth are safe from their lethal bite. While the large pods of killer whales work in perfect coordination to take huge prey in a single hunt, the individuals that roam these icy waters alone often settle for more modest hunts. In this menu of more affordable prey, Adelie penguins are a must-try. Measuring no more than 75 centimeters, and with an average weight of 6 kilograms, the Adelie penguin is one of those Antarctic inhabitants that, against all odds, manage to survive the harshest conditions for life. With bluish-black plumage on its back and head, and a whitish belly, the appearance of this penguin species is perhaps a bit more discreet than the colorful king penguins. Perhaps the most striking feature of this bird is its white eye ring, which surrounds its black eyes, a combination that gives it a peculiar appearance. Although smaller than king penguins, Adelie penguins are no slouches when it comes to diving into the deep. These birds compensate for their non-existent flying abilities with incredible swimming skills. When diving into the water, the small penguins reach speeds of up to 8 kilometers per hour, thanks to their aerodynamic body and the great impulse provided by their flippers. To reach the enormous quantities of fish and crustaceans that the Antarctic coasts hold, the Adelie penguin is capable of descending to depths of up to 175 meters, where, demonstrating its great agility and speed, it is able to capture krill, small fish, and even squid. Since it can only dive for no more than 3 minutes, the little penguin must make countless dives during the day. However, before jumping into the dark and icy waters, it is best for this seabird to take a look around, because you never know when, from what seem to be calm waters, a giant killer whale emerges with intentions of making the little penguin part of its diet. To avoid ending up in the stomach of a ferocious killer whale before diving, penguins usually take a couple of glances from the surface, looking for signs of the voracious predator. Usually, the signs that the bird is in the sights of this wild dolphin is an unmistakable flipper on the horizon, or even the characteristic vocalizations they produce when planning their ambushes. Although in a hand-to-hand combat against the whale, the gentle Adelie penguins would have no hope of getting out alive. When this little one is in one of his countless dives and is detected by a killer whale, he activates all his alarms and begins to swim wildly, fleeing from the jaws of the predator. In this chase, the little one will not give up easily, and furrowing the waters at full speed, he will see his safe place on the surface. And in case he can't reach the surface, the small holes under the polar ice are also a perfect hiding place, where this killer will hardly find him. During Antarctica's warm season, when the thermometer reads a balmy -2 degrees, Adelie penguins that manage to survive the voracious appetite of the killer whale congregate on the rocky beaches for the breeding season. In these areas where they can protect themselves from the cold wind between the crevices and cliffs, the specimens with the intention of reproducing find the perfect place for their eggs. Contrary to king penguins, which do not build a nest for their future chicks, the males of this species take on the task of improvising a rudimentary shelter with some rocks. This nest, although not very elaborate, prevents the eggs from getting wet and keeps them relatively isolated from low temperatures and predators. With nest building in progress by the males, the females arrive on the beach, and courtship takes place. Here, the males break the deep silence of the shore with their guttural calls, as well as show off with head bobbing and loud flapping. Although courtship may attract the attention of the females, what will really influence their decision to accept the suitor or not will be the gifts the male gives them, in the form of rocks. During Adelie penguin breeding, the number and size of the rocks that the suitor presents to the female is a clear sign of the female's ability to build a good nest for the future chicks. Thus, the intelligent female will go with the male who proves to be the most suitable for the care of her eggs. Thousands of breeding pairs can congregate on these beaches, where courtship dances are everywhere. And males, eager to get a female, present their stones. In some cases, as in other species, Adelie penguins engage in homosexual relationships, in which young males court each other and present their stones to each other. This behavior is believed to be a kind of practice for the following mating seasons. With the incubation period over and the chicks hatching, the summer days are slowly running out for the penguins. With winter approaching, the waters where they used to dive to hunt have become a thick layer of ice, which means they will have to make a long journey to open water. On this journey, they will cross an inhospitable white desert to once again reach areas with an abundance of prey and a climate that is at least a little more hospitable. While this flock of penguins disappears into the white horizon along with their young, other colonies have not been so lucky with breeding. Although penguins are dedicated parents who protect their eggs and chicks from threats such as gulls, skuas, and skuas, some colonies have the misfortune of choosing a beach where the giant elephant seals of the Southland. When these nearly 4-ton male giants make landfall, no obstacle can stop them. And many colonies of these flightless birds pay the price, seeing the mammals destroy everything in their path, including their eggs, and even crushing adult birds. However, the elephant seal does not do this as a method of intimidation, nor predation. In one of the few sightings of this colossal mammal on land, this enormous beast has come ashore to claim the beach as its own. A few days after the arrival of the elephant seal, the reason for their desperation to take over these domains is discovered. Dozens of females return from a long journey of thousands of kilometers in the depths, where they spent months feeding to prepare for the breeding season. With up to 100 females crowding the beach, the male is more than eager to initiate copulation with each of them, in one of nature's greatest representations of polygamy. However, there is one small drawback, and that is that, with 11 months of pregnancy behind them, they are about to give birth. The male elephant seal must wait a few weeks after the birth and the respective maternal care to see how the females of his numerous harem, one by one, come into heat. However, bad news for the elephant seal is on the horizon, as another male, with nothing to hide, comes with the same intentions of taking over the place and taking control of his harem. When two such creatures cross paths, a battle of unimaginable proportions is about to begin. To intimidate their opponent, the roars of these giants can be heard for miles around, breaking the usual silence that reigns in this quiet ecosystem. With each step of the mammals, the ground rumbles, and the females gather to witness the combat. Each male, in a show of strength, raises his head and neck to appear even larger. In addition, as a method of intimidation, the giants show their huge teeth, giving a final warning before the confrontation begins. However, with a numerous harem at stake, neither contender is willing to give in, and the battle begins. Using their gigantic bodies as battering rams, the males strike with enormous force, just as the bites with their long canines are not long in coming. Each blow is a shuddering sound that punishes the opponent and brings him closer to an eventual surrender. Both males, in an attempt to end the battle, aim their powerful bite directly at the proboscis of the opponent, seeking to cause a lethal wound. After several minutes of a fierce battle, the most injured male decides to give up his intentions of extending his lineage and leaves the beach, ceding the property to the new regent. Although in this duel the great elephant seal stands triumphant, he cannot claim victory until his job is done, so he must patiently guard the beach, defending its boundaries from other outsiders who want to take over his enviable harem. Days go by, and the first females go into labor, bringing to the world tender and big babies of more than 30 kilograms. During the following weeks, the new mothers must take care of their young, as the breeding beaches are usually extremely chaotic, with dozens of females crammed into a small space, and a colossal male up to 5 times the size of the females moving around and crushing everything in his path. Over the weeks of lactation, the calves will grow exponentially in size, weighing more than 100 kilograms at only 1 month of age. In the same period, the sacrificed mothers have lost almost all of their fat reserves, giving them to their young in the form of nutritious milk. With the newborns now of a suitable size, and the females gradually coming into heat, the dominant male on the beach watches his efforts begin to pay off. In a strenuous as well as pleasurable task, the giant elephant seal spreads his lineage through the dozens of females that have chosen his beach as a breeding ground. With his chores done, and testosterone levels sky high, after spending long weeks guarding the beach, the elephant seal sets sail for the icy waters, where he will be given the task of recovering all the fat lost after a long fast. Here, the deep Antarctic waters are the ideal place, as the abundance of fish, crustaceans, and squid are a feast for this large mammal. Just as the voracious killer whale uses its echolocation sense to locate its prey, the elephant seal is not far behind, and uses its sensitive whiskers to detect large schools of fish or giant squid at depths of more than 1,000 meters. While this giant seal is already making preparations for the upcoming breeding season, devouring huge amounts of food to prepare for those mammoth beach bouts. In this wild ecosystem, even this almighty male is not beyond the reach of the monarchs of the marine food chain. Although a huge elephant seal may pose a great hunting challenge to a lone killer whale, a pod of killer whales is more than enough to overwhelm even the fiercest specimens. With this, in the next breeding season, a new male will probably rise as the master of the beach, spreading his offspring into hundreds of females. In those same waters from where the elephant seal emerged to make what was its last foray onto the beach, dozens of black and white cetaceans can be seen in the distance. But this time, it is not the dreaded killer whales. The Antarctic waters, in addition to harboring the most dangerous predator of the seas, are also home to the majestic and less feared dusky dolphins. The dusky dolphin is a small but robust cetacean, approximately 180 centimeters long and 75 kilograms. Looking at the appearance of these swimmers, it is easy to guess where their name comes from. With a coloration in different shades of black and gray, except for its white belly area, this mammal camouflages itself perfectly in the dark Antarctic waters. The water skills of these creatures are simply amazing, even in a habitat full of prodigious swimmers such as Antarctica. Dusky dolphins are capable of reaching speeds of up to 10 meters per second, which would be about 36 kilometers per hour. Although these marine mammals are famous for surfing shallow waters, they have no problem diving up to 130 meters below the surface. Their diet consists mostly of a wide variety of fish, as well as crustaceans. Among the dolphins' favorite victims are jacks, anchovies, lanternfish, and red cod. Mimicking their distant relatives, the killer whales, these cetaceans also often work as a team when fishing. Dusky dolphins organize themselves into large groups of mammals to stalk numerous schools of fish. Of course, to locate such gigantic feasts with thousands of fish, they use their advanced sense of echolocation through whistling. With large schools of fish in their sights, they approach one by one, slowly circling their target. In order to haul these schools, they usually employ their robust body, as well as emit whistles to scare the fish, and even use their white belly to reflect sunlight against their terrified victims. Little by little, the skilled hunters manage to corral their prey, often bringing them to the surface, where it represents an impenetrable natural barrier. Here, the dolphins begin their feast, lunging with their short beaks across the shoals. At this point, their small conical teeth play a central role, preventing their slippery prey from escaping. An adult specimen has up to 122 teeth. But word of the efficient work the dark dolphins have done has spread pretty quickly, and unexpected guests are not long in arriving.